I'm not tribal, but I do believe in solidarity, and I know my colleagues do. And it is a difficult thing to do. But you know, once you've done it, it's the easiest thing, because you can look yourself in the mirror, and that's a good feeling. I think in many ways, you know, there are some difficulties to come, but I think what the election does, in my view, is make Brexit inevitable. I'm a Remainer, so I'm going to have to get on with that. But I do hope very much indeed that this doesn't mean that Boris Johnson will pursue a hard Brexit. I hope that he won't do that, because I think that would be a tragedy for my country. I think this result, in many ways, has been delivered by the Labour Party itself. And I think they rightly wanted to avoid at all costs being governed by an institutionally anti-Semitic party, led by a man who was palpably unfit to be Prime Minister. And I pay tribute to the good sense and commitment to decency and democracy of the British people that they delivered that result. I think they did look at the divisive and bullying and toxic culture that Corbyn brought to the Labour Party. And I think they decided that our country needed less of that, not more. And they are right. And it is right, you know, what John has said that he's seen recently. This isn't just going to disappear. It doesn't just go. Those kind of politics don't disappear because of a defeat. In fact, in some ways, they expect defeat, because they think they're fighting this good fight against these overwhelming odds, but that they will win out eventually. So we have to carry on this fight. But I do think the British people in many ways were robbed of a choice and denied a voice in the most critical election of my lifetime. I do want to pay tribute to the few Labour MPs, some of whom, certainly my friends, Ian, Mike and Louise, who are here today. And we've worked together and often been very isolated in that work. And also to, you know, they decided like me that they could not and would not campaign to put Jeremy Corbyn into number 10. And also I want to pay tribute to brave Labour peers like Meta Ramsey, who have similarly opposed Corbynism in all its grotesque forms. So I want to say thank you to them for their support and solidarity. I often find it sad that we come and speak to, and I said this to you, Isaac, when we were at the ADL summit in New York a few weeks back, and we got a tremendous response from the audience. And I said, you know, it's a great comfort, and it is uplifting when you feel you're facing a hostile world, to get that kind of support and comfort and approval. But I look forward to the day when I talk to a non-Jewish audience and get the same response for what I have to say about anti-Semitism, about Zionism, about Israel. I don't regret for one moment standing with the British Jewish community against really the vile racism that infected the Labour Party. I don't regret, though I will miss deeply the people I represented and the community of my constituency in which I live. But I don't regret having stood up and to speak truth to power. I think that is our duty. And I think our constituents have every right, as do the whole of the Jewish community, to expect us to do that. That, you know, we're thanked a great deal simply for doing the right thing. We have to expect many more people to do the right thing. I do regret that I think the British people were, thanks to Labour, faced with little choice. And I think there are millions of people who feel politically homeless in the UK, and many did not want Boris as their Prime Minister, but they wanted Jeremy Corbyn a lot less. and rightly so. Obviously, Boris now gets the opportunity to prove that he is going to govern for all. And certainly, I hope he does, because I don't wish any ill on the British people or any portion of them. But for those of us committed to a politics of decency and hope, there is now a job for us to do. Before the country next goes to the polls, I think we must offer the British people a real choice, a centre-left alternative, free of anti-Semitism and hatred of Israel that has overwhelmed Labour. That's now our task. I strongly believe that for all of us who are friends of Israel, whether we come from the left or the right, it's also high time we took the fight to our opponents. Israel is habitually bullied and abused and attacked in international institutions, which are often, I'm afraid, dripping in hypocrisy and double standards. And I'd agree with the points John made very strongly. And it's not just the Council of Europe, of course. So I think we need to make it clear that we'll not have the human rights record of the Middle East's only democracy judged by the likes of Cuba, Qatar, and Bahrain. Israel is routinely seen as solely responsible for the failure to find a just and lasting end to the conflict with the Palestinians. So let's nail this lie with a single truth. If, like me, you consider yourself a true friend of the Palestinian people, you know that the true enemy of peace and the Palestinians are the terrorists of Hamas. And finally, Zionism is bandied around so often as a term of abuse, and we've certainly seen that in the UK and in the UK Labour Party. And I am well aware of the anti-Semitism and hatred from the far right, and we have to fight that just as vigorously. Like all of you, I'm proud to be a Zionist. So I think we need to embrace it as a badge of honour and challenge the anti-Zionists with one simple question. Just what is it about the Jewish people's right to self-determination that you find so offensive? Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the conclusion of our welcome section. We're going to take a 5-minute recess and we are going to begin the dialogue.
Sorry then.